Hey guys, what's up? This is 8-Bit Eric. Today we're going to talk about NES racing games. RC Pro-Am is without a shadow of a doubt one of the most enjoyable racing games on the NES. This was perhaps one of the earliest ones I've played, and it's still just as fun to play today as it was when I was just a tiny little 8-Bit Eric. The graphics in this game are simple, but it fits the fun of the game. You control a small remote-controlled vehicle through tracks that not only contain other racers, but also a variety of fun twists, turns, and obstacles. The view is a little close and sometimes it's hard to predict what obstacles are coming up, but honestly, this challenge is what makes the game so much fun. RC Pro-Am was one of the first games to ever give your car the ability to attack and damage your opponent's vehicles with bombs, missiles, and oil slicks to ensure that the competition wasn't going to make it to the finish line. There's also fun little speed boosting strips placed on the track that are actually a staple in racing games today. Mario Kart, I'm looking at you, motherfucker. That's right, if you've ever found yourself cursing the blue shell on Mario Kart, you can trace the source of all your rage back to RC Pro-Am, because without it, racing games might have just never grown to the extent of what they are today. Coming up next, Micro Machines. Looking for a racer on the classic NES and tired of RC Pro-Am? Then Micro Machines is the game for you. Racing in this game is classic and addictive. You race toy cars on levels that take place in common household areas such as a kitchen table, a billiard table, a desk, and many other locations. Two-player mode, while fun, is kind of mediocre in this game. Single-player challenge is where it's at. There's not much to the control. You got a D-pad and 2 buttons. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how to play. Micro Machines is your standard racing game for the NES. You got 2 buttons on the controller with directional pad. The controls are pretty spiffy, although turns can be tricky at times. Now, Micro Machines was also one of the most rare unlicensed Nintendo releases for the NES. However, it didn't keep it from being a great game. This is one of those exceptions where an unlicensed game is actually pretty good. Well guys, that's 2 racing games down. We got 2 more to go. Final lap. In the meantime, why don't you go ahead and comment below with what your favorite NES racing games are. Alright bitch, let's go! Coming up next, Eliminator Boat Duel. I would like to compare this gameplay also to Micro Machines. The basic concept is there, except now it's only boats. Hence the name, Eliminator Boat Duel. Now, while this game does have awesome graphics, there's not really much use of colors. The control also leaves much to be desired, because the D-pad just simply does not work well with this game. One little difference of this game from the others is that depending on what part of the course you're on, your view will shift. Most of the time you'll be racing with the overhead view as you navigate the twists and turns in the waterways, but sometimes the view will be directly behind your boat when you're racing through narrow straightaways. The only real problem with this is that no matter how far ahead or behind you are, once the view switches, both you and your opponent will be automatically neck and neck again. So you basically could just be behind and win because your opponent's so far ahead that when the view switches, you'll be neck and neck with him. What the hell is that? With bad control and unstable gameplay, I think Eliminator Boat Duel really sinks. See what I did there? Last but not least for today, Cobra Triangle. Another boat game on this list. For some reason, these boat racing games are actually kind of fun on the NES. One of the earliest games made by Rare, it's also one of the best. This is like RC Pro-Am with boats, guns, and dragons. Good shit here! You control the Cobra Triangle, a badass gunship that's able to obtain all sorts of firepower and power-ups that basically make it the most kick-ass boat around. Seriously, there's all sorts of cool shit going on in this game. It's highly underrated in my opinion, and it's able to be picked up at an absolute cheap price. This plays just like any traditional overhead racing game. It's also a nice fast-paced shooter. You race around different mazes, picking up power-ups, blowing up boats, and getting to the finish line. This is a perfect mix of action and racing. There's also a lot of diverse goals, which makes this a little bit more different than most of the games at the time. The game controls exactly like RC Pro-Am, and although controls can be tricky at times, it does get a little bit easier after getting used to it. It's a damn shame that Rare or Nintendo hasn't gone back to Cobra Triangle because this is actually one of my most favorite games on the NES. And well guys, that's it for today. This has been just a handful of NES racing games. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace out.